Let's start with our favorite sentient grilled cheese. That would be Melty, who basically compares the disappointment of recent Jim Harbaugh to the disappointment of 4-8 Brian Kelly. Basically, he says, and I quote, "The line between good and great is a fine line and one that's hard to cross. The line from great to elite the line from great to elite even harder. Brian Kelly went 4-8 in year 7, and Notre Dame land wanted him gone so badly that alumni bought billboards and newspaper ads to say so.
I remember the billboards. Yeah.
He beats Clemson in year 11, and everyone thinks he's just the bee's knees. Is it possible that Jim Harbaugh basically, and a lot of what Brian Kelly, and you can talk to this too, what he did was really re-examining how he hired coordinators and assistants, and the Mike Elko move I think really signaled a shift in Notre Dame. But is it possible Jim Harbaugh just needs to get into that, I guess, second phase? That's me editorializing our favorite sentient grilled cheese, Melty. What say you?
I think Harbaugh is coming to his natural end at Michigan. To be honest with you, this is a guy who very publicly, first off, he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. He's a good coach. Not every coach who's a good coach works out in every situation. Mm-hmm. And expectations were sky high for Harbaugh when he came in. Here's the thing with him. He, I think, has shown that he's got a tendency either to burn himself or burn programs and teams out. Burn out those that are in proximity to him after some finite period of time.
Right. And we knew this going in.
And we knew this. So did Michigan. So, I am really hesitant to draw any conclusions in a goofy, weird, pandemic-laden season like 2020. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say he's gone after this year. Does that go both
ways, though? Does that go both ways? Like, are you not drawing conclusions about Brian Kelly and Notre Dame because it's 2020?
No, I'm going to draw conclusions. I just don't. I don't think I am as quick to jump to them, and certainly not as steadfast in sticking to them, because there needs to be wiggle room in 2020. There just has to be. But I think the Harbaugh thing feels like it's on a glide path to him going back to the NFL before long. And I don't know if it's after this season. It could be after next. But if it hasn't happened yet, where it feels like this thing is really ramping up and trending in a better direction than it has, it's still better than it was when he got there. That's, I think, an undeniable truth. But it is certainly not where Michigan folks had hoped it would be at this point. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, especially given how unstoppable Ohio State has looked the last 2 seasons.
The difference is with Notre Dame is the coordinator hires have been better, especially defensively. Don Brown's defenses have been very, very good, but in those big moments against, say, Ohio State or some bowl games, they've come apart. Especially you look at the Dan Mullen in Florida, I think it was the Peach Bowl, where Michigan was just destroyed by the Gators. And so that's a problem. Now, Notre Dame on their schedule, usually, most years, they don't have a superpower. Michigan always does. Michigan's rival is a superpower. They have a very specific team annually that they're judged against, whereas Notre Dame, because USC is down, because Stanford is not where Stanford was before, because they don't play Michigan themselves every year, Michigan State has been down, Notre Dame doesn't have that natural team to be judged against. And Notre Dame doesn't play Penn State anymore. Like there are these superpowers. I wouldn't say go as far as superpower for Penn State, but there are these top flight teams that Michigan has a very specific history against, and those teams happen to be playing very well. Wisconsin, Notre Dame doesn't play Wisconsin, right? Notre Dame plays mid-level ACC teams and occasionally Clemson. That's where they are in terms of interesting big games. And so it's a different situation. Could I see Michigan going out and hiring a just banger of an offensive coordinator, making a change at defensive coordinator, because sometimes things just run their course? Yeah, I could absolutely see that. But Jim Harbaugh came in as like a white glove coach. He's a pre-made national championship contender. He just took an NFL team to the Super Bowl. He worked miracles at Stanford. This is a dude who takes teams from mediocrity to greatness. And I just don't feel like he has fully mastered the nuances of college football program running in a way that, Urban Meyer and Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban, the guys he's compared to, have mastered. And so I don't know that Brian Kelly has. We haven't seen him perform that on a January stage in the way that others have.
Right.
But
right.
I don't know if there's a strict apples to apples, to your point, between Brian Kelly and Michigan, because Notre Dame's situation is so unique.
Yeah, I think that's right, Dan. And look, Kelly's gotten them to the precipice of winning a national championship. And you could say, well, he didn't have to go through Ohio State to get him there, and that's true. But
until Amari Cooper tied his cleats.
Well, right. But I don't know if it's apples to apples.
Right. Harbaugh, but I understand the general sentiment, though, that sometimes you need that second or third phase sometimes to learn from your mistakes.
And I think, like I said, Harbaugh's a really good coach. He really, truly is a good coach, and the program is better than when he got there. So that in and of itself is saying something about him. It's saying something about the program. And, I think eventually Michigan will find its way back. But look, it's been since the late 90s since Michigan won a national championship. I understand the restlessness. This is like one of the winningest programs in college football history. So, I think they're still the winningest. Gosh, I haven't looked lately, but they're certainly up there. And it stands to reason that there would be some impatience among the fan base. So I get it.
You know what the impatience is to me? And maybe this is an actual decent comparison to Notre Dame. Michigan hasn't had a stud quarterback his entire time there. They haven't recruited a stud, developed him into a stud, and have us look back and say, damn, that was their Tua. That was their Deshaun Watson. That was their whoever, Kyler Murray. Like, Michigan has had opportunities to recruit and develop those guys. And it's been transfers. It's been blue chip guys who haven't worked out. It's been lower rated guys who they've started, and like Wilton Spate. We're talking about, the height of Michigan football with Jake Rudock and Wilton Spate.
And that's part of the problem.
That to me is the direct line that we can criticize.
That's been part of the problem, because you bring in the guy who turned Andrew Luck into Andrew Luck, or helped
Jake Rudock, totally fine.
Develop Andrew Luck, and especially as Michigan had been ailing at that quarterback position for a while, it would be nice to be able to develop the position. Shea Patterson was okay, but he certainly wasn't approaching Andrew Luck levels. So